Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about one of the most important concepts you will encounter when learning Python: code blocks. If you have ever wondered why Python is so strict about spacing, this video is going to clear that up for you completely. By the end, you will know exactly what code blocks are, why they matter, and how to use them confidently in your own programs. Let us jump in. So what exactly is a code block? Think of it as a group of instructions that belong together, like a recipe. All the steps for making a sauce belong together, separate from the steps for boiling pasta. In Python, the way you tell the interpreter that certain lines belong together is through indentation. That means adding spaces at the beginning of a line. Watch the code on the left. The two print statements inside the if statement are shifted to the right. That is indentation, and that is how Python knows they are part of the same block. But look at the last print statement. It is not indented, so it is outside the block and always runs. See the output on the right. All three lines appear, but the first two only run because the condition is true. Pro tip: always use 4 spaces for indentation. Most code editors do this automatically when you press the Tab key. Now, you might be wondering, why does Python use indentation instead of something else? Well, most other languages like JavaScript or Java use curly braces to group code together. Look at the comparison on screen. On the left, you see JavaScript with its curly braces. On the right, you see Python with clean indentation. Python forces your code to look organized no matter what. You cannot write messy Python code because the language literally will not run if your indentation is wrong. This makes Python code much easier to read, and it reads almost like plain English. That is one of the main reasons Python is such a great language for beginners. Most common place you will see code blocks is inside if statements. The block tells Python what to do when a condition is met. Look at the code on the left. We have a variable called temperature set to 35. Then we check, is the temperature greater than 30? If yes, Python runs the first code block. It prints that it is a hot day and tells you to stay hydrated. If no, it runs the else block instead. Watch the block structure on the right. The green block is active because our condition is true. The else block is skipped entirely. Python runs only the block whose condition evaluates to true. This is the foundation of decision-making in every Python program. Every time you define a function in Python, everything inside it is a code block. And here's the key thing: the functions block only runs when you call the function. Look at the code on the left. We define a function called introduceYourself with 2 parameters, name and age. Inside the function, there are 3 print statements, all part of the same code block. These 3 lines stay completely idle until we call the function on line 6. Watch the call stack on the right. When we call introduceYourself with Sarah and 25, Python pushes a new frame onto the call stack. The parameters are assigned, and then each line in the block executes one by one. See the output? Hi, my name is Sarah. I am 25 years old, and nice to meet you. That is the power of function blocks, reusable groups of instructions that run on demand. Loops repeat a block of code multiple times. Everything indented under the loop is part of its block and gets executed with each iteration. Look at the for loop on the left. We have a list of 3 fruits: apple, banana, and mango. The for loop says, for each fruit in this list, run the code block below it. Watch the visualization on the right. On the first iteration, fruit is assigned the value apple, and the print statement runs. On the second iteration, fruit becomes banana, and the block runs again. On the third iteration, it is mango. After all 3 iterations, the loop is done. The key thing to understand is that the entire indented block repeats from scratch with each new value. This is how you process collections of data in Python, and it is one of the most powerful patterns you will use. Code blocks can live inside other code blocks. This is called nesting, and it is like a box inside a box. Look at the code on the left. We have a for loop that iterates through a list of scores. Inside that loop, there is an if-else block that checks whether each score is greater than or equal to 70. Watch the nesting levels on the right. Level 0 is the top level. Level 1 is inside the for loop, and level 2 is inside the if-else. So we have 3 levels of indentation here. Python handles as many levels of nesting as you need. Just make sure each level is indented consistently. Watch the output on the right. Scores above 70 pass, scores below 70 fail. The nesting allows us to combine looping and decision-making in one clean structure. Now, let us talk about the number one mistake beginners make. Incorrect indentation. Look at the wrong example on the left. The print statement is not indented after the if statement. Python expects an indented block, but it finds none. So it throws an indentation error, and your program will not run at all. Watch the error message. It points exactly to the line that is wrong. Now look at the correct version on the right. The print statement is properly indented with 4 spaces. Now, Python knows it belongs inside the if block, and the program runs perfectly. The lesson here is simple. Always double-check that lines inside a block are indented by the same amount, and never mix tabs and spaces. Stick to 4 spaces, and you will avoid this error completely. Let us quickly recap everything we covered today. First, a code block is a group of lines that belong together, defined by indentation. Second, Python uses indentation instead of curly braces to mark blocks, which makes code cleaner and more readable. Third, code blocks appear everywhere, in if and else statements, inside functions, and within loops. Fourth, blocks can be nested inside each other for as many levels as you need. And finally, always use 4 spaces per indentation level, and never mix tabs and spaces. Master these 5 points, and you have a solid foundation for writing Python code. And that is it for today's video. Code blocks are one of those foundational concepts that make everything else in Python click into place. Once you are comfortable with indentation, you will find writing Python feels very natural. If this helped you out, drop a like and subscribe so you do not miss the next tutorial. Got questions? Leave them in the comments. I read every single one. See you in the next video.